Perfect, perfect, perfect. So, of course, there's been a lot of attention and focus on this election. I'd say probably more so than in the last election, which was 5 years ago, and for very good reason. With the boycotts, with the efforts to secure Bangladesh. We've seen the current leadership through the Awami League, bolstered by the leadership of Prime Minister Hasina, which has made a very, very concerted effort towards also countering radicalism and terrorism within Bangladesh's borders and by extension, the broader region. Today's event, of course, is poised to provide a deep understanding of the intersection between electoral politics and regional security in South Asia. With that, I am really pleased to introduce you to our esteemed panel of guests today, which includes Mr. Honorary Jeffrey Van Orden, who is a senior fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy, Mr. Syed Ishtiaq Reza, who is the editor-in-chief of Global TV, Dr. Imtiyaz Ahmed, who is a professor at the University of Dhaka, Mr. Neil McCabe, who's also a media fellow at the Gold Institute for International Strategy, Mr. Sanjay Kumar, who is a foreign policy analyst based in New Delhi for several publications as well. And I would like to start out with jumping in to this event with a few questions. I think Mr. Kumar, actually what I'll do is I'm going to go to Mr. Ahmed first, since you are on the ground in Dhaka currently. I wanted to really just have you, if you could elaborate on what you've been seeing. Of course, many Bangladeshis that I've personally spoken to, both on the ground in Bangladesh, in Europe, in the United States, and other countries, they've really expressed apprehension and worry about, let's say, a potential rise of the opposition. I'm curious to know, after seeing everything that's occurred, to what extent do you believe that Bangladesh's development, of course, with the focus on 2041, Vision 2041, particularly under Sheikh Hasina's, Prime Minister Hasina's leadership, what do you think Bangladesh's development progress could be like if, let's say, the Awami League were not to maintain power in the current days, and how might their governance, contrast with the current trajectory compared to other parties that may have, let's say, a different perspective on the country's development?
Thank you very much, Adelaide, for giving me this opportunity. Let me start by saying that I have to differ from the many Bangladeshis that you have spoken to, and let me highlight why that is so by focusing on four factors. The first one is Bangladesh never had political stability since its birth. What Bangladesh had for the first time since 2019 is regime stability, and I want to distinguish the two. Now, whether the regime stability would hold and contribute to political stability is something we have to wait and see. But to be honest, we never had political stability, and there are countries in the world which really doesn't have political stability, but that did not stop their development process because they had regime stability. The second one is our history. If we focus on our history, it is if there are any significant political changes, it has always been through mass protests of millions of people coming out on the streets, and that not only in the Dhaka city but throughout Bangladesh. That is, when millions of people come on the streets and bring the economy to a halt, then the stakeholders sit together and they try to decide what to do and change things. But I'm afraid so far the opposition parties have failed to attract millions of people to come out on the streets, and more so after 28th October, when the campaign seems to have fizzled out. And this brings me to the third factor. Bangladesh has entered what could be referred to as the politics of mega identities. There is zero trust among major political parties. And there are good reasons for this. Each platforms, they hold contradictory positions on the 1971 Liberation War, on 1971 genocide, the father of the nation, the brutal killing on 15th August 1975, and on top of this, the 21st August 2004 grenade attack on the then opposition leader, now Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. Now, trust between major political parties is the minimum precondition required for holding national elections under the Westminster system. I'm afraid that after the 21st August 2004 grenade attack on the opposition leader and now Prime Minister, such trust has gone down to zero. And this brings me to the final, my final view on the question that you have raised. Some critics contend that there is a leadership issue in BNP. Since the top two leaders from the same family cannot participate in the national elections because of their legal convictions, they are least interested in creating a third leader outside the family. So the BNP campaign since 2018 has always been to free the top two leaders. Now, how will they resolve this issue of leadership remains an open question. So their coming to power remains far-fetched at this stage. But from a hypothetical standpoint, and to follow up on to the question that you have raised, that if these parties were to come to power, I would say they would face insurmountable difficulties regionally as well as globally. And the reason I say this, let me limit that also into three. First, their connection with Jamaat-e-Islam would make the people of the United States, for instance, apprehensive of the outcome, given the reputation the Jamaat has historically. Secondly, their coming to power would also, and this is BNP's coming to power, would also go against India's interest, as it would remind India the role that the government played or the state played with the insurgent groups of Northeast India when they were in power. Don't forget, this particular regime has really, given India the kind of assurance and has, brought down to a zero level where India finds very comfortable, particularly when it's related to the Northeast India. And the final thing is, I guess BNP believed the Biden administration, salvaging their concern too much, and even siding with the administrations, imposing visa restrictions and sanctions. I think by doing that, they alienated a substantial section of people, particularly the business people in Bangladesh, because there's a big business between Bangladesh and the United States. So my last words is this: if the regime stability can hold, Bangladesh will be able to attract investments, and the United States too can benefit from what is considered as one of the fastest growing economies in the world. I think I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank